One of the classes available for you in the java.lang package is the math class. Since it's in java.lang, you do not need to import this. This class and the methods and constants that it has will always be available to you. This is showing you some of the methods available to you. And notice it's preceded by math dot and then a method name. The reason we're using math dot and then the method name instead of just the method name is similar to why you say system.out.println. We need to point to the math class, and the math class, as you know, classes begin with an uppercase. So to point to the math class, you're going to use math dot followed by the method name in that class. These methods are static methods, like the methods that you will be writing. We've been using the keyword static. To reiterate, if a method is static, you execute that method without needing to create an instance of an object. All these methods in the math class are static, and you execute them. You call the methods by saying math dot and method name. Here are some methods and what they do, and this is described on page 160 of the text. The CL method rounds up. The floor method rounds down. There's the log of 10. You can send two values, and the max method will decide which one's the largest and return that value. This is a good one. The .pow, think of it as power, and this is the base and the exponent. So like it could do 3 to the 5th, where 3 would be the base and 5 would be the exponent. The random class is good for if you want randomization like in a game. And we also have round, square root, and some trigonometric functions. In addition, you notice in the corner, we have a couple of constants. Following the naming conventions of constants, notice it's all uppercase, and they will hold a constant value. So whenever you want to use E, if you've taken calculus, you're aware of that constant, or whenever you want to use pi, you can access it through the math class. This is the web page from Oracle for the documentation for the math class. Here are those constants. Here's the absolute value. Notice it comes 4 times, so it is an overloaded method. And there's many, many more methods than what is described in the textbook. If you need to use one of the math methods, math dot method name the parameter. So here's some examples. Need to get the square root of 121. This will call the math method, return a value, and store the value in square root, which is then output here. Absolute value of negative 50 returns a 50, which is stored in that variable and output here. Notice in this example, we're making the call without assigning it to a value, but we're printing it out. So what's going to happen is this is going to execute. So math, minimum of 3 and 7. Well, the minimum is 3. So this is as if there were 3 written here. So it's as if it were written system.out.println 3 plus 2, and 5 will output. The math methods do not print to the console. Each method returns a value, and then you must store that value in a variable, or you can print it or make decisions. Okay, as a review, return is described here as the opposite of the parameter. And yes, it is, because the parameter is input, and the return value is the output from the method. Let's review some of these. This will return 1.23. This will return 3 squared, which is 9. This will return 10 to the power of negative 2, or 1 over 100. You do need to be aware of the return type when you call a math method. If the method returns a double, you don't try to store it inside of int. Be aware that sometimes when you do a division, and it's going to result in something like this. So how are you going to resolve this? Too many digits? use printf, and then you can specify how many digits will output. Here we have 0.1 plus 0.2, which we know as 0.3, but as it is stored in the computer, there's a little bit of imprecision. So as a computer programmer, you need to be aware of that imprecision, and you should never test for equality like this with doubles.